Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Deep Culture Podcast. This is Fali, your host, and I hope you guys are doing well at home and keeping safe. Or if you're not at home, at least you're keeping safe outside by wearing the mask wherever you are. Alright? Today's episode is a solo episode once again. It's been a bit challenging in the last couple of weeks trying to get guests on. I think everybody's pretty busy and, life, example. Which is why also today's episode is going to be about handling yourself in situations when things don't go your way, right? Which is exactly the case of what happened over the weekend. But I want to start off by sharing with you a little story from a friend's experience that I read about a couple of years ago, which I think shares a really strong message in how you can approach life and how you can have a better, fulfilling life if you approach it with this mindset, right? So this story is about an experience that an old colleague, is it a colleague? He's an old, somebody who I knew a couple of years ago. He's a fellow speaker. His name is Scott Friedman, and he wrote a blog about this experience, which really helped me in a way. And how it begins is that a couple of years ago, Scott was in his house, just a normal day, when suddenly he felt a little unease in his body. He felt slight pain in his chest area, but it was nothing too concerning. It wasn't anything that was hindering his movements or whatsoever. But after a few hours, he realized that hey, this is it's starting to get a bit concerning because it's persisting and it's not going away. So as a result of that, he asked a couple of his friends about it, and his friend's advice was to go and get it checked at the hospital, which at first he wasn't quite sure he wanted to do because it wasn't something very concerning, something that needed to be done straight away. But in the end, he listened to his friend's advice, and he ended up going to the hospital to check it out. Now, when he arrived at the hospital, as it turned out, he actually was having a heart attack in that moment itself, right? So from just a couple of hours ago, just resting at home, feeling a little unease, he was now actually having a proper heart attack in the hospital itself, and he was immediately brought into ICU, right, to have surgery, a life-threatening surgery, right, because he has to operate at the heart. 2 hours later, he woke up in the ICU with 2 stents in his heart area to open up the artery that was having blockages that was causing the heart attack. So within a span of a day, he went from waking up and feeling a little uneasy to going to the hospital and having a life-threatening surgery and to surviving with 2 stents in his heart. Now, the reason why I share this story with you is because if you were to put yourself in his shoe, when I put myself in his shoe, I found myself thinking to myself, or filling my head with questions like, oh no, what am I going to do now? I was so close to death, right? I could have died. What is this? What's going on? What did I do wrong? Right? All these questions started to fill my head, and which I believe would fill a lot of your heads as well, and possibly even Scott's head was. He was thinking about that, right? What would have happened if I had died? How could this have happened? Am I going to be able to work again? Can I still travel? Am I going to die soon? All these questions. And that's when I realized that in situations when things don't go your way, we have a tendency to want to push or to beat ourselves up and be unforgiving towards ourselves about what has actually happened, right? It may be as a result of our actions, or sometimes it may not even be as a result of our actions. But the tendency is that we do sometimes, or most of the times at least, go a little hard on ourselves. So as I was reading this blog, I was understanding his position, trying to put myself in his shoes. And then suddenly Scott mentioned a line that really hit me about how we could approach life in a positive manner. And he used this question: what's the gift? Right? It's a simple question. What's the gift? So when he asked himself these questions, what's the gift? He was basically asking himself, more of these types of questions like, what was the blessing from this experience? What was the lesson that life was trying to share with him? Could it be that he now had a newfound appreciation for life? Or could it be that life was actually giving him a second chance, right? Or maybe it was a simple lesson of getting yourself checked out whenever you start feeling uneasy in the chest. It could be that as well. Or it could be something deeper like realizing the importance of your family, your friends, your partner. Or it could be something as simple as this experience was for him to learn from it and share that experience so that others could also learn from this experience as well, just like I was when I was reading his blog. All right, I'll post the link to his blog down in the description below. But basically, that's it. What was the blessing from this experience? What was the gift? What's the gift? And when I thought to myself, as I was putting myself in his position, and when I thought to myself about the question, what's the gift? I realized, all right, that changes the whole situation, the whole box that I'm in, because now it's no longer about beating myself up or asking myself what I did wrong, where I went wrong, what I shouldn't have done. It's more about what have I gained from this experience? What can I do with this experience? How do I move forward with this experience? And that's the really amazing thing about just a simple question like, what's the gift, right? So that was Scott's experience and that was his message. And coming back to today, as I'm sitting here today, I really shouldn't be able to record this episode for you guys right now. I was in this morning, I'm recording this on the morning of the episode. And as of this morning, I had given up all hope of actually trying to record this episode and breaking my 18 consecutive week recordings for podcasts. Things over the weekend just didn't go my way. I had 2 guests who cancelled on me on the last minute, which was supposed to be planned for this week and next week's podcast. I had my sister moving out from the house, so I had to help out a lot in terms of moving the furniture, drilling the pictures in her house, taking care of the nephew. So a lot of different pieces were in play, which meant that I didn't really have a lot of time and flexibility to go and work around this problem. And the same thing happened where I started blaming myself for not making the time to do it. I started blaming my family a little bit, saying, they didn't respect me enough to give me the time to go and do it. I started thinking like, oh no, these guests, what can I do now that they've left? I mean, they could have told me earlier. There were all these kind of thoughts in my head. But at the end of the day, if they couldn't make it, they couldn't make it. And that's fine, right? It's about what can I do now moving forward? What's the gift that they are actually giving me as a result of not being able to make it? And that's when I realized that last weekend was a break for me. It's been 18 weeks of consecutive recordings. And last weekend was finally a break for me. And during that break, I managed to spend time with my family. I managed to spend time with my friends. I managed to help my sister with her new house. I even managed to catch a break, which was what I really, really needed, and take things off my head. So there were a lot of positive benefits that came out of it. But most importantly for me out of this whole experience was the minute I looked at it from that point of view, I accepted what had happened and I looked at it from that point of view as a blessing. An opportunity opened up for me, which is today, this afternoon, right now, as I'm recording this to be launched this evening for you guys. And it is that work started early today. As a result of that, it meant that I had about a couple of hours break in between work, which meant that now I had some time to record this episode, right? I had some time to shoot this episode. And it also just so happened that at the point of giving up this morning, I've suddenly realized that from that blessing, there's a message that I wanted to share with you guys. And this is the message. What's the gift, right? So it feels like life has brought me to this point to share with you this message for today, which is what's the gift? And let it flow, let life flow, because life has a plan. And so often we try to go against life when things don't go our way, and we start to label life, we start to label the things around us. But we can't change the past, guys. And the best thing we can do is ask ourselves, what's the blessing that has happened to us, and what can we do to move forward? And that's where we are now. That's where I am now, right? I'm now able to spend a couple more hours shooting this episode, recording it, editing it, so that you guys still have an episode for today for the DC family, as my friends call it, or rather the Deep Culture family. Kind of like the DC family though, right? Okay, as a DC family, right? So you guys have a video still for this week. And for me, it means that I still get to hold on to 19 consecutive weeks of podcast recordings, which is amazing for me, right? I didn't want to lose that record, and it really broke my heart. But thank God for this message, for remembering what's the gift, and thank life for opening up opportunities for me. And I think that's one of the things where if the moment you let go and let live, the moment you flow with life, that's when you can see opportunities open up for you. If you're still harboring on what's happened in the past, on what didn't go your way, I think that's when your eyes or your view is closed to the opportunities that do come your way. I could easily have just gone back out to office or had lunch outside and meet friends, but instead I realized that this was actually an opportunity for life, for me, by life, to now have a message to inspire. And I think that's pretty incredible, and that's pretty beautiful. Yeah. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this message. Do you agree that it's about letting go and let live? Do you agree with the message, what's the gift, and how that helps to shape your perspective of life? Right? And also, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe to Inspire YouToo's channel and drop a comment below. And what else is there? Subscribe, like, comment. And also, regarding the next couple of weeks, it's going to be a really interesting couple of weeks for us, DC family. Another reason why the last weekend has been really busy is because I've been in discussions to get something going for the month of September, right? It's going to be pretty interesting. And I'll give you guys a hint. It's a sort of collaboration for a good cause, right? A collaboration for a good cause. And I hope that it will take off, right? But I'll keep you guys updated. So do keep watching for the next couple of weeks or the next couple of episodes to find out more information, right? So I think with that, I've covered more or less today's topic. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And stay safe, everyone. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Deep Culture Podcast. Take care, DC fam.